Tere päevast ja tere tulemast! Minu nimi on Katrin Saks ja ma olen Tallinna Ülikooli Balti filmi ja meediakooli direktor. Hello, my name is Katrin Saks. I am the director of Baltic Film and Media School of Tallinn University, and I am here just to welcome you. I'm really sorry that we can't have this meeting in our new building called Nova in Tallinn University campus. But don't worry, we will move already in September, and from the beginning of October you will have your lectures, your studies in Nova building. It's almost ready. Ei ole vaja vist tõlkida. Kohe saabub see tore päev, kui me kolime siit Tallinna regionaalhaiglast päris oma majja. The grand ceremony, the opening of the new building will be on 26th of September at 3 o'clock. You are all welcome. This is the most important and most interesting information, I think. But I would like to also emphasize that this year is very important for us, not only because of the new building, new premises, but also because we celebrate the anniversary of film studies in Estonia and audiovisual media studies. 20 years ago, the film study started, then in Tallinn Pedagogical Institute, and 15 years ago audiovisual media studies, then in Concordia University. And in 2005 these departments were united under the umbrella of Tallinn University, and BFM started its existence. I'm just emphasizing that this is a very, very special year for us, and we are going to have different kind of events to celebrate that. Once more, I am not going to take more time, but I am really happy that we have so many students, newcomers. Altogether, right now we have 427 students in BFM. And these students are from more than 20 different countries. This is really very international environment. And we are very happy with that. And we are happy that even this year, when all the universities suffered because of lack of new students, we didn't have this problem. We had quite tough competition, and we have a good number of newcomers also. Well, but now I would like to give the floor to Maia Sula, and she's going to explain you more briefly what is going to happen with you. Okay, thank you, and once more, Happy New Year.
Kõigile ka minu poolt, nagu Katrin ütles, minu nimi on Maia Sula, ma olen siin koolis õppejuht ja tänane päev ei ole nii-öelda veel pidupäev, vaid on ikkagi selline infopäev. Et see, millest mina nüüd lähema 45-50 minuti jooksul räägin, on info, mida teile siin lähinädalatel ilmselt vaja on. Nii et ma soovitan tähelepanelikult kuulata, kes soovib võib endale ülestähendusi teha, aga ühtlasi igaks juhuks ütlen ka, et kui midagi jääb ebaselgeks, siis oleme praegu seda infotundi linti võtmas ja BFM-i kodulehekülje vahendusel on teil võimalik seda mõne päeva pärast uuesti üle vaadata ja kuulata. Hello from my side as well. My name is Maia. I am the Head of Studies in the Baltic Film and Media School. And today this information that we'll be giving is information that you will be needing in the coming weeks in order to help your studies, to start them in the best possible way. Everything that I will be talking about today might sound a little bit confusing, and there is a lot of information. I would just like to emphasize that please don't worry if you don't pick up everything very precisely from the very beginning. There is time to get used to the new life at the university. And as a notion as well, this presentation will be made available to you through the Baltic Film and Media School website in the coming days. So if there is something unclear, you haven't picked up, you would like to check again, you can do so through our website. I will be doing this presentation in 2 languages. The reason for that is we have international curricula, international programs, and we have Estonian language programs. This maybe will be a bit boring for those who understand 2 languages, but I will be going through all the information first in English and then in Estonian. Okay, so let us start. Just very briefly, probably all of you know, but BFM, Baltic Film and Media School, is a college of Tallinn University. So even though you are the students of Baltic Film and Media School, you also at the same time are the students of Tallinn University. BFM at the moment has over 400 students, 427 when I checked yesterday, and we have over 20 countries represented. We have at the moment 7 academic programs, 3 bachelor level programs, and 4 master level programs. Out of these, 6 are international programs taught in English language, and 1 is fully in Estonian language as for now. And most importantly, we are welcoming this year 140 new students. So I don't see all of you here, but anyway, in total there should be 140 students, and I'm very excited that the number of international students is quite big this year, and for the first time we have students from countries as Brazil, Iran, Japan, Singapore, Turkey and Venezuela. So I would like to welcome you all. Obviously also everybody who is from the countries that we already have represented in Baltic Film and Media School. Lühidalt siis Balti Filmi ja Meediakool on Tallinna Ülikooli kolledž, nii et te olete Tallinna Ülikooli üliõpilased, õpite selle allüksuses, mille nimi on Balti Filmi ja Meediakool. Hetkel on meil üle 400 üliõpilase, esindatud on üle 20 riigi, kokku on meil 7 õppekava, 3 bakalaureuse tasemel, 4 magistri tasemel. Ja sellel aastal me võtsime vastu 140 uut üliõpilast. Nii et tere tulemast teile kõigile. See on siis lühikalt lihtsalt info kooli kohta. And those of you sitting here today, you probably don't know each other yet. So I'm just trying to emphasize that there are students from different academic programs, all in this one information session. I'll be giving information generally about studies, and the bachelor level students will have, after this information session, a separate info session only for their curriculum. But I will come back to that a bit later. So we have represented here today Estonian language program, Filmikunst bachelor students, cross-media production bachelor students, media program bachelor, and 2 master program students, audiovisual media and cross-media production. Ehk siis täna siin me võtsime vastu üliõpilasi 5 õppekavale, nii et teie hulgas on siis üliõpilasi kõigilt nendelt õppekavadelt, mis te siin näete. And what we'll be talking about today, just very briefly, as you can see, organization of studies, how to plan your studies, also briefly about language and computer requirements, practical information for the first weeks, what you have to do, how to get your student card, etc., etc. And in the end of it all, I will answer your questions. Millest täna räägime, õppekorraldusest, õpingute planeerimine, võõrkeele arvutioskuse nõuded, mida te esimeste nädalate jooksul peaksite tehtud saama ja kõige selle lõpus vastan teie küsimustele. So let us start. Organization of studies. Very briefly, there are a few things that are important also for students when it comes to important documents or important regulations. I don't expect you to read them through tonight and start memorizing everything. That is what we are here for. But just for your knowledge, that these are the documents based on which the studies are arranged. So if you have ever any questions, concerns, these are the documents you can look up and hopefully, probably find your answers in there. The first of them is Tallinn University study regulations. Then another very important document for you is the academic calendar. Academic calendar basically outlines what happens when throughout the school year. And your own curriculum, basically the program based on which you are studying. Ehk siis millised asjad on teie jaoks ka olulised teile kui üliõpilastele teada, et õpingud siin ülikoolis käivad õppekorralduse eeskirja järgi. Et kui teil kunagi tekib mingeid küsimusi, probleeme, siis see on dokument, mille te Tallinna Ülikooli kodulehelt leiate ja kust te leiate vastuseid oma küsimustele. Samuti oluline akadeemiline kalender, ehk siis millal algab õppeaasta, millal toimuvad eksamid ja nii edasi ja nii edasi. Ja kolmas, mida ma rõhutaksin, et oluline on igale üliõpilasele teada ja tunda oma õppekava, seda mille järgi ta õpib. Very briefly now about the organization of study in general at the university. There are those of you who already have studied at the university, who are starting their master's studies this year. But there are those of you also who might have just graduated from high school and studying at the university, and the whole organization of it is slightly different. So therefore, I'll just briefly have a little introduction. So the levels of study I've been talking about. The bachelor level study is, the load of it is 180 credit points. I'm also pointing it out already now because it's confusing for some of the international students. In Estonia, we use the European credit transfer system credit points, but we don't call them that. We call one credit point EAP. In Estonian, it's European credit point. The reason for that, before that, we had a different credit point system. So in order to differentiate between those two, we use EAP. This EAP is equal to the ECTS credit. So when we are talking about credit points 180, it is the same as in most of the places in Europe nowadays, the credits, how we use them. So the bachelor level study normally lasts 3 years, and you are expected to complete 180 credit points worth of studies. Master level, normally 2 years, you're completing 120 credit points. And those of you continuing your academic degree, career after master's studies, you can continue on the doctoral level. Normally in Estonia, the doctoral programs are 240 credits and last 4 years. BFM currently does not have a doctoral program, so we are teaching only on the bachelor and master level. This is a development that we might already have by the time you are graduating. Lühidalt siis õppeastmetest on olemas bakalaureuseõpe, kestab üldjuhul 3 aastat ja on 180 ainepunkti. Magistriaste, mis kestab 2 aastat, 120 ainepunkti. Ja siis ülikoolis järgmine õppeaste on doktoriõpe, Eestis enamasti 4-aastased programmid ja 240 ainepunkti. BFM-is hetkel doktoriõpet ei ole. Now I mentioned before that an important document for you is your curriculum. And curriculum is a document based on which you are studying. It is basically a document that outlines what are the goals of this program, what are the learning outcomes of this program, and what are the different parts in the form of subjects which will enable you to achieve those learning outcomes. So, put it very simply, a curriculum without its text parts is a list of courses, list of subjects that you are expected to take throughout your studies. Now the curriculum normally consists of modules, and so it is divided into separate sub-units which are called modules. And the modules in Tallinn University curriculums are normally general subjects. It is the module that gives you courses, that combines courses that give you general knowledge that is not very directly connected to your field of specialization. It is basically giving you underlying knowledge in order to make the studies in your specialization easier, and in order to see the interrelations between the different disciplines, areas, and how your specific studies in film, media, cross-media is interrelated with other disciplines and within the society. Then the main part of the curriculum is your core subjects. This is basically the subjects that you are studying which give you your qualification in that specialization. So if you are studying film, your core subjects are mostly related to different aspects of that. And for graduating, the curriculum has the graduation project, thesis. So for a bachelor curriculum, it's a bachelor thesis, and for the master's curriculum, it's a master's thesis. And on top of these things, you have in the curriculum 3 electives. What does 3 electives mean is that these are the courses that are not outlined in your curriculum, but there is a separate section within your curriculum, certain amount of credit points that are foreseen for you to allow you to take courses which based on your interest, based on what you think will help to develop your skills in the best possible way. These are the courses that are not listed. These are the courses you can freely choose from whichever curriculum. You can choose them from within your own curriculum. You can choose them from other curricula in Tallinn University. Or if you choose to study a period abroad, go to study as a visiting student in another Estonian university, this is the block that allows you to have courses and which count towards the graduation. Then also very important to note when you're looking at your curriculum. The curriculum consists of compulsory courses and compulsory and elective subjects. Compulsory ones within the modules are the ones you are expected to take. So you have to pass all the exams in all of the compulsory classes. On top of that, most modules have a list of elective subjects. Just bring you an example. For example, a module could be 20 credit points. Out of these 20 credit points, 10 are compulsory for you. So these are the courses that are already listed, and you have to take them anyway. Now the remaining 10 are electives. What it means is that in that module there might be a list of in total 6, 7, 8 courses in the amount of 20 credit points. And out of this list you have to choose courses in the amount of 10 credit points. So you have in total in the end 20 credit points of that module. Without examples it might be a bit confusing, but just to make you aware that these are the different parts of the curriculum. And I will be in the next section also talking about the language and computer requirements. When I was mentioning before that you have a block of subjects in your curriculum which are called free electives, and you can very freely choose these courses. There are some buts, namely our curricula have special requirements which you have to meet in order to graduate. And this is in order to make you a more prepared for the future life in the job market, basically. So university is going to guarantee that all the students who come out from the university have knowledge of at least one foreign language, and that they are competent users of computer. So this should help you. Now, I will talk about this a bit more briefly, a bit more in the future, but these are the requirements that you also have to keep in mind from day one when you are planning your studies. I will come back to that. Lühidalt siis eesti keeles ka õppekava on õpingute alusdokument. Koosneb sellest, mis nii-öelda ütleb teile, mis on teie õpingute eesmärk ja millised on õpiväljundid, mille te õppekava läbides saavutate. Õppekava lisaks sellele tekstiosadele koosneb siis õppekava nimekirjast ainetest, mida te siis õppekava sees saate valida ja millised on need ained, mida te peate läbima selle jaoks, et see õppekava täita. Õppekava koosneb moodulitest. Moodulid on siis nii-öelda alamjaotus plokkidesse, gruppidesse pandud ained. Igal erineval moodulil on omad eesmärgid ja omad õpiväljundid. Ja sõltuvalt õppekavast peab need mooduleid valima kas mingi kindla arvu, on moodulid, mis on kohustuslikud, on moodulid, mis on valikmoodulid. Ja üldiselt ülikooli õppekavade ülesehitus on järgmine, et teil on üldainete moodul. Need on ained, mis ei ole väga tihedalt seotud teie spetsialiseerumisega, aga on ained nagu näiteks filosoofia, sotsioloogia, ained, mis annavad nii-öelda alusteadmisi selle jaoks, et olla edukas oma erialal. Siis on kõige suurem osa õppekavast on teie erialaained. Erialaainete osa tavaliselt koosneb mitmest erinevast eesmärgistatud moodulist ning siis on lõputöö. Ehk siis bakalaureusastmes on see lõputöö natuke väiksema mahuga ja magistriastmes on lõputöö väga suuremahuline. Ning samuti on õppekavas vabaainete plokk. Vabaained tähendab seda, et teil on mingi osa teie õppekavast, näiteks bakalaureuse õppekavast 180 punktist, umbes 40 punkti on antud täiesti vabaks. Te võite valida neid aineid, mis teile endale huvi pakuvad. Siin on ka väike konks nende vabaainete valimise juures. Lisaks sellele Tallinna Ülikooli õppekorralduse eeskiri ja kõik õppekavad, neil on sisse viidud nii-öelda tingimused miinimumtaseme keelenõuete osas ja arvutioskus. Ehk siis tähendab, et ülikooli lõpetades peaksite kõik oskama ühte võõrkeelt teatud tasemel ning peaksite oskama arvutit kasutada niimoodi, et te hätta ei jää. Ja selleks, et need oskused tagada, selle jaoks pakub ülikool ainekursuseid, mida te võtta saate, kui teil neid oskuseid veel ei ole. Ja need ainekursused tulebki läbida nende samade vabaainete arvelt. Lisaks sellele jääb vabaainetest teil üle ka õppida 3., 4. keelt, võib-olla minna võtta kursuseid teistest ülikoolidest, et kõike seda vabaainete plokk selles õppekavas võimaldab. Ning oluline veel meeles pidada, et selle mooduli sees on tihtipeale kohustuslikud õppeained ja valikained. Et kohustuslikud õppeained on need, mille te igal juhul peate läbima, ja valikained on nimekiri ainetest, mille hulgast te peate mingi kindla arvu ainepunkte valima. Tõenäoliselt õppekavade juhid nüüd järgnevates erialade infotundides räägivad teile natuke täpsemalt teie õppekavast konkreetselt ja sellest, millistel aastatel õpitakse milliseid aineid, millises järjekorras ja mismoodi see loogiliselt on üles ehitatud. So, also the university, when I was talking that you are studying bachelor level 3 years, master level 2 years, then this 1 year in the university is called an academic year. This is basically the year when you are, the period when you're expected to be involved with your studies. The academic year is divided into 2 semesters. It is the fall or autumn semester, which is starting now, and spring semester, which is starting in the last week of January. The one semester consists of 20 weeks. And here is the breakdown of these weeks. How are those 20 weeks divided? We start with the semester pre-week, which started now last Monday, ends this Friday, basically today. And this is the week when you are preparing for the first study period. The registration for courses is open then. There are all sorts of preparations that can be done during that semester pre-week. And then, starting from the next Monday, not for the first year students, but because you will have your opening ceremony on Monday, you will start on Tuesday. But basically, after the pre-week, you have the first study period. First study period is, the length of it is 7 weeks. So 7 weeks of regular classes. After that is an independent work week or intensive study week. This is a week when you don't have regular classes, but on that week you might have some very intensive classes. For example, if we have a lecturer coming from abroad, staying here for a very short time, it's very difficult to schedule it within your regular study schedule. You might have intensive studies during that week. And also, if the course or class that you were taking is only 7 weeks long, so it was running only on the first study period, you already have a chance to take the exam in that class on that independent work week. After that 1 week is the second study period, similarly 7 weeks long. And it ends up with an intensive study week. So this is once again a week when we can schedule classes that are not regularly taking place. It is also time for consultations with your lecturers, preparing for the examination session. And finally, the 20 weeks ends with the examination session, which lasts 3 weeks. So this is the 20 weeks and how it is made up. Just a small notion. Not all of your courses are planned exactly like I have explained you now. It is possible that your course will will start on the 1st of October and end on 20th of November. It is possible it runs on those 6 weeks and not exactly like I have explained you at the moment. It is also possible that sometimes there is a need to change this logic a little bit. And for example, our film department has used that a lot, that they have a longer first contact period And then after that, they have 3 or 4 weeks with no regular classes when the students are shooting their films. Because this is the time when it's very difficult to be going to the classes at the same time. So just bear in mind that this is the general guidelines, but there can be differences. Lühidalt eesti keeles ka, et õppeaasta koosneb 2 õppesemestrist, sügissemester ja kevadsemester. Semester koosneb 20 nädalast kokku, millest siis 14 nädalat on selgelt õppetööks, regulaarseks õppetööks. Semester algab semestri eelnädalaga, mis on nüüd siis see praegune nädal. Seejärel on 7-nädalane kontaktõppeperiood, millele järgneb semestri vahenädal, millal on iseseisvat tööd tehakse, mõnikord võib olla intensiivseid kursuseid, mis toimuvad näiteks 3 täispäeva järjest. Ja võivad toimuda ka juba eksamid, kui õppeaine, mis toimus esimesel õppeperioodil, on lõppenud. Seejärel on veel 7 nädalat kontaktõppeperioodi, mis lõpeb veel ühe samasuguse intensiivõppe nädalaga, kui regulaarselt esmaspäevast reedeni tunniplaani järgset õppetööd tavaliselt ei toimu. Ja sellele järgneb eksamisessioon, mis on 3 nädala pikkune. Selle ajal siis tehakse eksameid, pannakse hindeid ja loominguliste tööde puhul see on aeg, kui neid lõpetatakse, presenteeritakse jõududele, toimuvad filmide screeningud ja nii edasi, nii edasi. Lihtsalt teile tähelepanuks, et ehkki see on selline üldine juhtnöör, kuidas semester koosneb, siis sõltuvalt õppekava ja õppeplaani vajadustest võib siin olla muutuseid. Et võib-olla see teie vaba nädal ei ole täpselt seal kõigil teistel. Sellisel juhul näiteks, kui teil toimub 2 nädalat hiljem algab võtteperiood, mil regulaarseid õppetunde ei toimu. Aga et sellest räägivad teile juba sellisel juhul õppekavade juhid ja õppeassistendid lähemalt. Now a few more important concepts when planning your studies. As I told you, for bachelor studies, the period in which you are supposed to complete your studies is 3 years, and on the master level, it's 2 years. This is the time when when all the courses that you are supposed to take are offered, and if you are studying, if you're taking all the courses you are supposed to take, if you are passing all the exams, you should be graduating after this period of studies. Sorry. And so whenever you hear the word nominal period of study or standard period of study, this is what it refers to, this time that you're supposed to graduate. We will also talk about what happens if you don't. Nothing very bad happens if you don't, but this is the time that you are given to complete your studies officially. Now, the other important thing, I was talking that we have this credit point system, and one European credit point, as we say it in Estonian, EAP, equals the same as the European Credit Transfer System credit point, those of you who are coming from different countries. Now, what does this credit point really mean for students? Credit point is a measurement. It measures the amount of studies, I can't probably say, but the load of studies. So, but breaking down what does this credit point actually mean is that 1 credit point equals to 26 hours of studies. This is an approximation. For every credit point, you are supposed to work 26 hours. And when we talk about hours in university, we always talk about the academic hours, meaning the 45-minute sessions. But considering you already study 45 minutes, you probably need a 15 minutes break anyway to continue with the next 45 minutes. So Approximately 26 hours you're supposed to study for every credit point. Now, how it is broken down to, these 26 hours are not put into your timetable. Out of these 26 hours, there are contact studies, which you can see in your timetable. This could be lectures, seminars, workshop, mixed form of all these. This is basically the time that you spend together with your course instructor in a classroom, in a lab, in an editing room. And the other part that makes up this 26 hours is your individual work, basically work that you do outside of class. And I'll just give you a brief example for you to understand. There's a mistake. I wanted to give you an example of 4 credit point course. For example, if you have a 4 credit point course that you are about to take, then in total for that 4 credit point course you are supposed to do 104 hours of work. Out of these 104 hours, this is an example. For example, 28 hours is spent in the classroom. So these are the hours, these are the times that you can find in your timetable, and this is the time that you spend with your course instructor in the classroom. Now, in order to the best way possible to pass the course, you're also expected to do 76 hours of work. What could it be? It could be reading the course materials that you are supposed to read, preparing your presentations, writing essays, doing research. If it's practical course, you are given assignments. You have to do a reportage. You have to write a script. So these things that you do outside of class are also calculated within your load. And of course, this all is an approximate, but just to know that as a full-time student, you are expected to work 40 hours a week. Out of these 40 hours, you are not spending more than 10 to 15 hours in the classroom. The remaining part, you're doing individual work. And this is probably slightly different from high school, so those of you who are coming directly from high school, there is more here that you have to do outside of the classroom. Vaatan, et mul läheb väga kaua aega seletamisega, ma küsin igaks juhuks eestlaste käest, et kas on vajalik, et ma räägin eesti keeles ka üle? Kas keegi annab palun käega märku, kelle jaoks on kasulik, kui ma räägin eesti keeles? Ma ei näe ühtegi kätt. Ma oleks võinud seda päris alguses teha. Kas tõesti kellelgi ei ole lihtsam, kui ma räägin eesti keeles? Ja, Andres, ma tean küll, et sul on palju lihtsam, kui räägin eesti keeles, ka mul on palju lihtsam, kui ma räägin eesti keeles.
Sa küsid.
Yeah, isegi õige vastus ma kujutan ette. Okay, but I will continue then only in English because it looks like nobody really needs my explanations in Estonian. Which is a great thing that you're all so fluent already in English that there is no difference for you if I speak in English or in Estonian, even if there is a little difference for me. So we'll continue. How are you planning your studies? As I said before, for bachelor studies, you are expected to complete 180 credit points, and if you want to complete it within the nominal study period, 3 years, simple math will give you the answer that you are supposed to complete courses in the amount of 60 credit points every year. So this is what you should take as a guideline. Try to take 60 credit points every year, and that will allow you to graduate with 3 years in bachelor program and 2 years in the master program. So 60 credit points per year, more or less 30 credit points every semester. This is what your full load is expected to be. You are welcome to take a bit more courses, maybe 34, 36, but I don't recommend personally to go, especially in your first semester, much over 36 or 38 credit points. This is just give yourself time to get used to how it is to be in the university. You might see that your timetable is so empty with these 6 or 7 classes that you're taking. But once it comes to time to the end of the semester and you have to start completing and submitting all your independent work assignments, you might become very overwhelmed if you have taken on a load that in the end will not allow you to focus and complete the assignments in the best possible way. So I recommend to start with 30 plus minus few credit points. Now, in order to stay as a full-time student, you have to complete 75% of the full load. So if the full load is 30 credit points per semester, you are supposed to pass the exams in the amount of approximately 22.5. Well, 22.5 it's because 75% is a half. In reality, we don't have half credit points. So you're supposed to complete around 23 credit points in order to stay as a full-time student. And it's important to also note that this full-time student status is calculated normally, or the student status is calculated normally once a year in the beginning of the next academic year, so in the semester pre-week. And this is a cumulative calculation. So if you have passed courses in the amount of 20 credit points on your first semester, nothing happens yet. But then, if you also complete only 20 credit points of courses in the second semester, you have completed 40 credit points in total for the full year. And that is less than 75% of the 60, because that would be 45 credit points. So if you have completed in 1 year less than 45 credit points, you will be transferred to the part-time studies. If you complete 20 credit points in the first semester, but you complete 30 credit points in the second semester, you will have 50. So that is more than 75%. So you continue as a full-time student. So we don't look at every semester separately, but we look at it cumulatively for the whole time of your studies. And then part-time studies, in order to stay as a part-time student, you have to complete at least 25% of the load. So that means the minimum per semester is 7.5. So in the end of the first year, if you have completed courses less than 15 credit points, you will become a subject to exmatriculation. So you have to, in order to stay as a student, you have to complete more than 15 credit points in each year. Probably a question to you, what does it matter to me if I am a full-time student or a part-time student? It matters as much as, for example, for taking the study loan or study credit, in Estonia you have to be a full-time student. And it may also affect your medical insurance. As a full-time student, you are insured. As a part-time student, because studies is not your main occupation anymore. This might be a bit confusing for you in the beginning, but just bear it in mind that it is important to also not only register in the courses, but also pass the courses. And now I will come to something that is maybe also a bit confusing for you. It is the language requirements. So as I said before, you have to speak at least one foreign language, master a foreign language to a level that allows you to use that foreign language. Now for all the Estonian language curricula, basically it refers at the moment to the film bachelor curriculum. I will say that in Estonian. Ehk siis kõik eestikeelses päevaõppe õppekaval õppivad üliõpilased. Need on siis sellel aastal meil filmikunsti õppekava bakalaureuse üliõpilased. Õpingute lõpetamiseks peab teil olema Euroopa keelemapi keeleõppe raamdokumendi selline huvitav nimetus on sellel asjal, tasemel B2 ühe võõrkeele oskus. See võõrkeel ei pea olema ilmtingimata inglise keel, see võib olla saksa keel, vene keel, ükskõik mis muu keel, aga vähemalt ühe võõrkeele oskus sellel B2 tasemel, mis on iseseisva kasutaja tase. Ma räägin kohe täpsemalt, kuidas seda tõestada, seda taset. Now for all the English language curricula, starting from this year, the graduation requirement is a bit more high in the language proficiency. And for graduating from an English language program, you need to have English language skills on the level C1. Explaining that a bit more. There is an exception, just if there's any audiovisual media master students here who are studying in the television specialization. In that curriculum there is a documentary specialization and a television specialization. Because the television specialization is given in Estonian language, your minimum requirement is B2 and not C1. For the documentary, it is the C1. You can also see that requirement explained in the curriculum. Now, how do I know what is this B2 and C1 and what do I do with it? I will show you the next slide. No, actually, sorry, I got a bit confused myself. I also sent you an email where you could already see the language references in those, how to see what level of language you already have at the moment. Everybody who has graduated from an Estonian high school has passed state exam in a foreign language. You have already a reference. What is your level of English? And for everybody who needs to have this B2 level as a graduation requirement, if your state exam result in a foreign language was 80 points or more, you are considered to have the relevant level. So you have the B2, and at the university you don't have to study any more English. This is for the Estonian language program, which has the requirement B2. Now, those who have not taken an Estonian state exam in a foreign language, obviously everybody who graduated from high school somewhere outside of Estonia, don't have that chance, but on top of that, you can prove the language proficiency with other international language exams and tests. And for most of the international students, it was also the requirement for even being admitted that you have a relevant level of English. That requirement was B2 level. So everybody who has been admitted has already B2 level. Now, if you're studying in an English language curriculum for graduating, you need the C1. So that might be slightly higher. What happens if you don't have already that level? So basically, what you have to do in that case is during your university studies, take language classes offered by the Tallinn University Language Center, and you will pass the exams after taking those classes, and you will have a proof that you have a relevant level of English proficiency. How do I know which group do I have to go? So once again, if you have passed the state exam in Estonia in a foreign language, this is the reference scale, and I sent you that one also in the email. So if your language exam result was 40 to 59 points, you have to start at the level B1. So you have to start, you don't have the level B1, but you have to start studying on the level B1. If you have 60 to 79 points, you have to start at the level B2. And there's a little recommendation for those who had the state exam result 75, more than 75 points, but under 80. Normally, one level of language studies consists of 2 semesters. So in order to increase your level of English or foreign language, you have to study 2 semesters. And that's why the courses are called, for example, B21. It shows it's the first part of that course, and B22. B21 is the start, and B22 is the continuation, which will grant you in the end the level B2. For those who were very close to that 80 points, I recommend to start already at B22, not with B21. So you will in the end have to take the language class only 1 semester and not 2 semesters. However, if it was under 75, it's probably better to start from the B21. Now everybody who's studying in an English language curriculum, as you know, for graduation, you need to have a proof of C1. And here the state exam doesn't help you. No result, not even 100% on the Estonian state exam shows that you are proficient to the level C1. So you will have to have that assessed still at the university. If you have a result over 80 points, 80 and more, you start studies in the C1 group. Now those who had more than 90 points, you may choose to start already on the second part of the so not C11, but C12, which is the end level. Now, if you have taken international exams or tests, these also show what level you are on. And if, for example, there are those of you who haven't taken Estonian state exams, but have passed an IELTS test, for example, then in order to, and you think that you have your B2 level already with that IELTS score, then in order to get that assessed and get it confirmed, you will have to take that document to the Tallinn University Language Center. They will briefly, tell you whether this is enough or not, and they will also make a notion on your study record whether you will still have to study something or not. For all the international students who are admitted and who have sent us proof of some language exam, test, your results have already been assessed by the language center. So I have all your results, I know which is your level. There are a few of you who should start studying at C12, not at C11. This basically means that on the first semester you are not expected to enroll in the C11 class, but you can only take the continuation class in the spring semester, and that should grant you the C1 level. What we will do is, today after this presentation, for the international, for the students who are supposed to start at the C1, who are starting at the international programs and who are supposed to have C1, we will send you an email with your language group, which language group you should enroll in. And in your timetable for the for the fall semester, there is already the time for that C11 class. So those of you who start with C11, you have it put already in your timetable. And those who don't, there are also an exception for the native speakers in English, or if you have done your previous degree, basically if you're being admitted to the master's studies and you have studied your bachelor's degree fully in English, you do not have to take any more language classes here. I know it's a bit confusing. I'll answer your questions later. And then briefly also the computer requirements. As I said, in order to graduate, you need to have a proof of computer competence. Now there are 2 ways to prove that you are a competent computer user. If you already feel that you are quite competent, basically this tests your use of the Microsoft software like Word and Excel, how good you are at searching, doing the searches in internet. Basically, if you are using every day the computer, you have a pretty good chance of being able to pass that test. Have that already, that required level. So if you feel that you are quite competent in computer using, I recommend that you will take a computer competence test. This is administered by the Institute of Informatics at Tallinn University, and the next chance to test is in October. The pre-registration starts on the 28th of September, and it is needed that you sign up for that course. So look it up at the Tallinn University webpage. Hopefully there will be information sent to you as well, but just bear in mind that next chance to test your computer skills is in October. Now, what happens, what is the outcome of this test is whether you will have, that you have passed the test successfully. You will have a notion in your study records that your requirement is fulfilled. Now, if this test shows that the level of your computer competence is not sufficient, then you should enroll into a special course, which is called Effective Computer Usage, and your next chance to take that course would be then in the spring semester. Now, those of you who already feel that I know nothing about computer, then probably not a good idea to go to the testing if you feel that you're likely to fail. So you can just wait until the spring semester and sign up for that course. There's an exception for the cross-media bachelor students. In your curriculum, the course Effective Computer Usage is a compulsory course. So it is put into your timetable and you will be taking it on the first semester. Probably if you are very competent, you will have it much easier in that class and you will pass the exam maybe with not a lot of coursework. Now the next thing is registration for courses. Some of you have already tried to do that, I have seen. And registering for courses, it is your responsibility. It happens online in the study information system, which is called in Estonian õppeinfosüsteem, and the shortening version of that is OIS. And the address is ois.tlu.ee. How can you log in there? Is using your Tallinn University email username and password. It is also possible if you can use an ID card. You can also log in using your ID card with its passwords, with its codes. But this obviously isn't a chance at the moment for the international students who do not have an Estonian ID card. Registration for courses is open until 10th of September. So before that, you should have chosen the courses and signed up for them. Now, what happens if you have signed up for a course, but you find that you cannot attend it because the timetable is not good for you, or if you simply have no interest for attending that course? Unless it's a compulsory course, because I never suggest you to drop a compulsory course. All the courses that are compulsory for you on your first year, please sign up for them in the first year. Please pass them in the first year because they are the prerequisites for the following courses. So if you don't sign up for your compulsory courses of the first year now, you might not be able to continue with the same speed as your course mates in the next year. What happens is that you officially have the right to drop a course, or basically delete the registration, up to 2 weeks after the first contact class has taken place. After first meeting with the teacher, 2 weeks from that date, you have the chance to cancel your registration. After 10th of September, you cannot do it online yourself. Until 10th of September, you can take your name off the list yourself. After that, you will have to turn to your study coordinator in your department, and only he or she can take your name off that list. I said that for logging into the study information database, you need Tallinn University email and Tallinn University email password. Those of you who don't have this information yet or haven't tried to do it, with Estonian ID cards, if you have the relevant codes, you can create your account, your user account yourself. And we strongly recommend that everybody who has this chance, please try to create your user account yourself. There are international students who do not have Estonian ID card at the moment. They cannot do it online themselves. So those of you, I hope you have already gotten this information in the international student information sessions as well, and you have been in the main campus, you know where the rooms are, and maybe, hopefully, some of you have already created the account as well. But you can turn to the user administrator. I was told this week the room number is 224. Officially, I know this person sits in 203. So either of these rooms, you will find the user administrator, and you can create your account. Obviously, you need some form of identification. Creating a university email account is compulsory. Also, of course, for the reason that you can't register for the classes in OIS otherwise. But also, it is compulsory for you to use that account throughout your studies. Basically, there will be a lot of information, important information that will be sent to your university email account. Now, what a lot of students choose to do is, because you are already using, for example, a Gmail or a Hotmail or a Yahoo Mail, and you are every day checking it several times. Now, you might forget to check your university account as well. What I recommend you to do is to redirect your university email account to your regular email account if you check that more often. Once you have created your email account, under the settings, quite self-explanatory, you can easily tick the box, put your Google, Gmail, Yahoo Mail address in there, and all the emails that will be sent to your university emails are redirected to your personal main campus. So that is one of the reasons why you have not found your class schedules or your timetables in the Tallinn University online timetable system called ASIU. We cannot use it while we use the rooms in this building. This means that at the moment you can't find your timetables there. Starting from October, we will be in the main campus, and you will be seeing your timetables also in the ASIU system. Up to then, it is a system that is not so advanced, but you will find the classrooms where your classes are taking place. Simply for the media students and for the cross-media students, you have a notice board. We will put the timetable up there, and every time you come for your class, please go and pass that notice board, see which classroom is your class taking place. The reason why I ask you to do that every time you come for a class is that those classes might change from week to week. So we are renting the classrooms in this building, and they might not be the same every week. So the first 3 to 4 weeks, please just look at the notice board, look what classroom you're supposed to be in. Yeah. Very briefly also talk about study allowances. It is basically a small financial aid provided by the Estonian state. Unfortunately, because it's distributed based on the number of state-financed study places on the curriculums, and as you might know, we have quite a few of these. Unfortunately, the fund that we are getting for distributing study allowances is not too big either. So it's really the top students, based on their study results, who who are granted study allowances every semester. This is not a very big sum. It is around 55 euros a month. That is a study allowance, the basic allowance. The application deadlines every year are 1st of October, 1st of March. Applications are submitted through the study information database. And important for the first year students is that on your first semester you do not have any study results yet. So you cannot apply for those traditional study allowances. Starting from second semester, you can apply for it. On the first semester, those of you who are Estonians who have officially registered living outside of Tallinn and the municipalities around Tallinn can apply for a small travel grant, which is basically a supplementary allowance. So on your first semester, you can only submit applications for that supplementary allowance, starting from second semester, also for the basic allowance, which is the 55 euros. And on the first semester, you also have the right to apply for the economic allowance. There is also an application form for that in the RIS. That is allowance that is not given based on the study excellence in studies as much as based on the economic need. So where to look for info? I see that there are people leaving. I know I'm just telling everybody if you are waiting for your specialization, your study information session, which will start very briefly after we're done here. And I won't be taking more than 5 minutes now. So you don't, if you were given the time that it starts at 4 o'clock, you don't have to run now. If you go for some other reason, of course you can. So where to look for info? At the moment when we are in these buildings, I told you, for the classroom numbers, please check the notice boards. So we'll put up any information that is needed for you if it's also on the notice boards. Check your university email. We'll be sending information on that one. Websites, obviously. Check Tallinn University website. Our BFM website does not have all the information about study organization. We simply do not duplicate that because it is valid, correct on the Tallinn University website. From October, you will be using the ASIO timetable system to see where your classes are taking place. And if none of these things give you any answer and you are clueless about, a question, and nobody in your class seems to know either, then probably the information hasn't been available to you on any of the other channels. So with these concerns, you have to first turn to your study coordinator. And the study coordinators will introduce themselves as well on the information sessions that we will continue now, but I have written down their names here. Also, with questions about your studies, you can turn to your head of the program, and you will also, if you don't know them yet, you will get to know them in your information sessions that follow shortly. And if you have questions about general questions, not very specifically about your timetable and whether we will have this class today or how do I contact the teacher, because these are the questions I might not be able to answer. But if there are more general questions, you may also turn to me, the head of studies. And just a notion to you. All of these people, study coordinators, head of the programs, and myself, we tend to get a lot of emails from students. Really a lot of emails, starting with the questions, where is that building? Where is the class going to take place? This is the information that you most of the time find out somewhere else. So if it is an information that you will be able to find out from a university website, from doing a little Google search, or from asking somebody in your class, it is of course recommended that these questions, you should try to find an answer yourself before you send an email. The simple reason for that is when receiving over 100 emails a day, yours might be the one that we miss and you will not get your answer. And maybe your question was the one that you don't have information anywhere else available. And maybe that is the email that we should have actually answered. So that is just a little notion. And also for you, other contacts, other people or other services that are available to you. In the Tallinn University, there's a career and counseling center. They have an academic counselor there. There is a career counselor and also a psychologist. So for these services, there are people available and you can turn to them if needed. Also, there for you, for the students, is the student union. And in the study department, there are people, for example, in relation to your studies abroad, if you want to do a period of studies abroad, there are people who are dealing with Erasmus exchange, etc., etc. So these are the places in the big university where you might also find people who can help you with your specific questions. Please don't turn to the study department in the university when you don't know where your class is going to take place, because they won't be able to answer that. So your first contact with this type of questions is your study coordinator in the BFM. And now, finally, just some very practical information what you're supposed to do in these coming weeks. Student card at Tallinn University, the students are given, or students can apply for the ISIC card. Starting from this year, the application happens online, and you might want to note down that, that website. It's www.minukool, which is myschool.ee. And applying for an ISIC student card happens through that. Now, on top of that, we will have a BFM student card for all the BFM students who wish to have that. What is important to bear in mind that BFM student card is not an official proof of student status. So that is not the card that you can use in a public transport to get a discounted ticket, for example. This card we use, or you are given, in order to give you benefits that are not available to other students, that are available only for BFM students. These include, for example, free cinema visits to the cinemas, Artis and Sõprus. This card also costs, and your study coordinators will be sending you information. I think last time the cost of it was €3. So you pay that, you get a card for 1 year, and you will be able to use these benefits that are not available to other students. I know a lot of our students are using it as a general student card. Just a notion, if you have a ticket check in the public transport, just that you would be aware, this is not an official student card, whereas ISIC card is an official student card. Also, to start using the library, BFM has its own small library of media, film, related books and DVDs. This is part of Tallinn University Academic Library. And for using the services of our little library plus the big library, you need the same user. You basically need a library card in order to use those libraries. This is for taking home books, and for renting out the books, basically. How do you get the library card? Is you have to turn to the Tallinn University Academic Library, which is located in the city center, not on the Tallinn University main campus, but at Rävala Puiestee 8. If you have an Estonian ID card, then this is the only thing you need to bring, and your user credentials of the library will be added to that ID card. So all you need in the future to use the library is to bring your ID card. And this works also as a library card. Those of you who don't have an Estonian ID card, you should bring just a document of identification and the photo. You will get a special card. And creating that card is free for Tallinn University students. So in order to use our library here and in the new building, you need to register as a reader at the Tallinn University Academic Library. A lot of you have sent back your signed study contracts. Important thing to note about the study contracts is that you have chosen a payment scheme. It is possible to choose that payment scheme in the beginning of every semester. During the semester pre-week, you would have to, or slightly before, turn to your study coordinator. And for example, if you chose to pay once per semester, but your parents are now telling like, well, we would prefer to pay in smaller installments, then for the next semester, you can change that and pay in monthly installments. We will then sign a little appendix to that study contract. But this needs to be done in the very beginning of the semester in order to be valid for the next semester. And also important information for, this is mostly for Estonians, but you get tax refund for the tuition fee. So it is important that this person who wants to apply for that income tax refund will be the one making the payment. What happens basically is that we will issue an invoice in your name, but if it is, for example, your father who pays your tuition fee, then you should be doing so that your father pays based on that invoice. University accountancy forwards those details to the tax office that this person, your father, has paid your tuition fee. And this automatically gives him the income tax reduction. So in his pre-filled tax report form, you already see that this money has been paid. For doing that, you do not need to sign an appendix to the study contract. The invoice will be still issued in your name, the study contract will be in your name because you are the student, but please, whoever wants to claim the tax refund has to be the one paying the sum. So if you do not have any income yourself, it is probably wise that it's a family member who pays that sum, because then they will be eligible for the tax refund. Only if it is your employer, for example, not a private person, but a company who has agreed to pay the tuition fee. In that case, we should sign an appendix to the study contract, and you are basically giving the obligations of paying to the company. And also the tuition fee invoices will be sent through the study information database by the 20th of September. And I just remind you that please do not transfer any sums to the university account before that. Wait until you get the invoice. You will have a personal reference number on that invoice. When you're making the payment, please use that reference number. This is the only way to make sure that your payment will be tied to your account and the money won't be lost in the big university accountancy. So wait until the invoices will be issued and then pay based on these. For Estonian students, for the other nationalities, I don't know how the study credit in your countries works, but for the Estonian students, you can apply for the study loan. If you're a full-time student, this year the maximum is 1,920 euros per year, and the university will send the list of students to the banks in the second half of September. You can already turn to the bank now and write your application, get the paperwork done, but you cannot expect the money to be transferred before 1st of October. So only starting from 1st of October, the banks have checked who are the students and they will start transferring the loan. So just this is really now the last slide. what to do in the coming weeks. If you haven't created your email account, please do so. After that, you should register for the courses. Register as a user at the library. You go to academic library for that. Probably you will need a student card. For the study contract, you will get, those of you who have signed the study contracts, you will get them back from your study coordinator, either today in the information session or in the next weeks from the office. And sorry, I'll skip the author's rights contract at the moment. We'll inform you about that later. Now, sorry, that was a long and confusing presentation. I take the questions that you might think that other people also have. Please. There are really no questions. Then there's two chances. It was all so clear and self-explanatory, or it was so confusing that you have no clue what to ask. In either case, don't worry. This is just the first day. You'll be fine. And I remind you to look for information where you can find it, talk to each other, and most importantly, enjoy those first weeks. Enjoy those first weeks and enjoy the rest of your academic career in Baltic Film and Media School. I wish you a very nice start of the year, and also an information, everybody invited to the big opening ceremony at the Tallinn University main campus.